fabulously successful professor. I don't know about that. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks Willa and team for putting this event on. And thank you for being here today. This is, you are right in the center of what I call a really powerful wave of social entrepreneurship that is occurring. And it's a wave that has the ability to transform the way things are done in societies and solve global issues that haven't been able to be solved in the past. And there's really 5 things that have set that wave up for the opportunity. And the first is you. And the youth today have an interest and a desire and a motivation to want to make a difference. Probably a little different than my generation. You want to give back, but you also want to make a buck. The second is the internet. The internet brings kind of global issues front and center, 24/7 to our laptops. So things that we didn't see 25 years ago, we're seeing now front and center. The third is the internet again provides a tool of education and resource. A couple weeks ago, I was approached by a group of celebrities who wanted us to look at bringing a coffee product, out of Haiti, and then taking the profits and donating them back to Haiti. In 4 days, I was able to get a massive amount of research on the internet just from my couch. And I was able to access government reports. I was able to find growing reports. I feel like I'm an expert in some level in coffee in Haiti now, and it's all from my couch. And so the internet's really changed the way that has worked for you. The fourth is my generation wants to give back and is kind of transitioning into retirement in a lot of cases. And you see what Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are doing with their billionaire challenge, and they've gotten 38 billionaires to agree to give back half of their net worth over the remainder of their lives. That's really powerful. So you've got capital that's waiting to kind of be deployed. And then the fifth is you've got celebrities that want to roll their sleeves up and actually get involved in a lot of cases and use their platform and their microphone to help tip brands, to help provide a catalyst for that. So I think we're at the beginning of a really extraordinary process of transformation of some of these really difficult societal issues that are governments can't solve these. They're too entrepreneurial. They move too fast. It's going to take people like the fellows from Ashoka doing this kind of stuff and being very entrepreneurial about it. We've all heard about Gandhi and Mandela on what change agents they were, but you've probably never heard of a guy named David Perez and probably never Craig Kielburger. These are 2 ordinary people that have done extraordinary things. David Perez was sitting on his couch when Katrina happened, and over the course of 3 or 4 days became increasingly dissatisfied with the response. But he's a middle-class guy, not a lot of money, has a day job, and he becomes increasingly dissatisfied with what's happening. So he's got a pretty good Rolodex, and he's really got a lot of chutzpah. And so he starts networking with people. And before it's all said and done, he arranged to have 72 727s flown into New Orleans, taking medical supplies and bringing people back out. I mean, just an ordinary guy doing an extraordinary thing. He's since kind of leveraged that into work in Haiti. Another guy is Craig Kielburger. You may have heard of him with Free the Children. He started it when he was 12 years old, and he read an article on a middle-class Toronto suburbia kid, read an article about a child labor activist who was also 12 years old who was murdered in Indonesia, and decided that his parents, look, Mom, Dad, I got to go to Indonesia and protest against this. And his parents said, well, Craig, you're 12. You can't really go. And he said he finally convinced them that if he brought an adult with him, that he could go. So he's transformed all of that into an organization that today educates 50,000 kids in the developing world. He's been nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes and won the Nelson Mandela Award. They built schools for Oprah. I mean, again, these are ordinary people, just like you and I, doing extraordinary things. And if there's one thing I can leave you with today as we're talking, it's the fact that, or the concept that you can be the change that you want to see in the world. And I think what happens a lot is, especially the more analytical we are and the smarter we are, we tend to put blinders on. And we say, okay, I'm a really good doer, but I'm not a big picture person. I'm not a big thinker. I'm not the person that can do that. Or we get over analytical and we kind of convince ourselves why it can't happen that way. And you can take those blinders off. It's really important that we do that. We were inspired to start Nika after talking to Craig Kielburger, and he challenged us to come to Africa. So I took my 4 kids to Africa, and we toured Ethiopia and Kenya for a month, and we visited a bunch of different NGOs, and we learned some of the incredible facts about the water crisis, that 3,500 people die every day from a lack of clean water, that 50% of the hospital beds in the developing world are occupied by people with waterborne related diseases, that 50% of the population of the world doesn't have water coming into their home. I mean, just incredible facts. We use collectively 100 gallons of water a day in the developed world to wash, cook, clean, bathe. In the developing world, they use 3 gallons of water a day. Anybody know what else uses about 3 gallons of water? Toilet. One flush of the toilet. So, I mean, and the fact of the water crisis, $8 billion would bring clean water to every person on this earth. We spend $15 billion a year on ice cream. And that doesn't mean anything wrong with ice cream. I love ice cream as much as anybody, but these are solvable problems that we can solve. And we learned about the poverty trap, where girls are really the key. Girls can't go to school in the developing world because they have to get the water for the family every day. That's their job. So they often walk a 10K and get polluted water oftentimes and bring it back. And because they aren't able to go to school, they end up getting married and pregnant at 12, 13 years old. And then their kids are born into the same poverty trap, and they can't break out of that. With clean water, that changes everything. So what we do is with our donations from Nika, is we build schools that have water catchment system roofs. And the water runs down the roof and it goes into a storage tank. And we tell the fathers of the girls, send your daughters to school, and we'll send them home with clean water every day. They don't so much care about the school, but what they do really care about is the water. And by just keeping them in school through 8th grade, 15, 16, 17 years old, we're able to actually break that cycle of poverty because they're able to learn a trade, learn a vocation, and then they don't tend to get married until a little bit later. So my wife and I we kind of got educated on this whole poverty trap, and kind of parallel to that, we've been looking for a different donation model. We, like everyone, kind of write a lot of checks, and at one level that's important and that's needed, but at another level it really wasn't sustainable. And I'll give you a quick example on that. If I'm supporting a guy who's building wells in the developing world, and I write a check every year for that well, and that's all going great, but all of a sudden the recession hits, or Haiti hits, and I want to redivert some of my funds to another project. That's all fine and good, but that guy who's building those wells ends up breaking down, and that's what you see in the NGO world. You see this constant start-stop for the past 100 years. And governments are good at building roads, doing infrastructure, stuff like that, but they're not going to solve these kind of issues. So we began to think, can we come up with a sustainable donation model, and kind of connecting the dots. We looked around at, could we come up with a product that achieved that? And we were pretty agnostic on what kind of product it was. It could be a coffee product, it could be an organic energy bar, it could be a bottled water. We chose bottled water because bottled water is under heavy attack from an environmental standpoint. And we thought, look, why don't we design a bottle of water that is kind of best in class environmentally? It's still bottled water, but there's 3 kind of critical things that people have against environmentally against bottled water. The first is that we're using a scarce resource in fossil fuels for single-use product. So what we did is we made the product with recycled post-consumer plastic. That's kind of step 1. Step 2 is the carbon emissions of kind of taking product from oil in the ground to consumer. What we did is we measured our carbon footprint, and we offset it by planting trees. So for every 98 bottles that we produce, we actually plant a tree for a reforestation project. And the third thing is the whole landfill issue. And what we do is we work with schools in non-bottle bill states where you don't pay the nickel, and recycling rates are low. And we put dumpsters on the school premises, and the kids fill up the dumpsters with empty plastic bottles. And when it's full, Waste Management takes it away and has it recycled. And we pay the school anywhere between a penny and 3 cents a bottle. So the kids at the schools learn about recycling, the school makes a little extra money, and then what we're able to say is for every bottle we sell, we actually take a bottle out of potential landfill. So our net impact is 0 in terms of plastic going into landfill. And we thought, look, if we could do that, that would be a good deal. So Nika is the Zulu word for to give, and we donate 100% of our profits. And in 2 years, we've donated about $350,000 and brought clean water to about 3,000 people. And what we've learned, and this is just crazy, is it only costs $20 to bring clean water to someone for a lifetime. And we've done 5 projects, and that's the average that it's costing us. $20. I spent $12 at Starbucks yesterday morning. I mean, these are very solvable problems if we kind of think outside the box and we think about how to do that. And then kind of the neat thing about it is, if we could be a $10 million revenue company, which is 1/1000th of the bottled water industry, it's nothing. It's a tiny little gnat of the bottled water industry. Then we could make an after-tax profit of about $1 million. Because bottled water is very profitable, so we can make an after-tax profit of $1 million. Based on $20 it costs to bring clean water to someone, that's 50,000 lives a year. If we could affect 50,000 lives a year times 20 years, it's 1 million lives. Now that's nice and that's a big deal, but that's not societally changing. But what if Nika's doing this here, and then somewhere on the other side of the world there's another business doing something similar, but not necessarily for water or poverty, whatever cause. And then what if one of you guys comes up with an idea and you're doing something over here, and then somebody's doing something over there? Now you've got a powerful sea change of wave of change, and I think that's really what we're beginning to see. And I think it can really make a huge difference. A few of our keys to success is, one, be very transparent with our donations. So if you go on our website, you'll see, we're very open. We kind of share everything. We are a for-profit company that donates 100% of our profits. It's a similar model to the Newman Zone. Act boldly, with our financial backing. Now, I'm all about humility, but when you're trying to raise money or bring finances in, you got to be a little bold in trying to do that. Finding like-minded people that kind of embody the brand and embody it. You kind of marshal them to kind of deputize them to go out and kind of get everybody excited about it. The product has to be good and the product has to be competitively priced. I mean, in the beginning, it's kind of 3 parts business, 1 part social. And in the end, hopefully, it's 3 parts social, 1 part business. But if you've got the best barbecue sauce in the world, and it comes from Ethiopia and it's curing poverty, but it's 5 times the price, or it doesn't taste good, you know what? You're going to have a problem. And you may think it's great, but you're going to have a problem. And the distribution channel is really key because they like the idea of having cause-based brands, but at the end of the day, they're about profit margin, they're about terms. So your product has got to fit into that distribution properly. A few of the things is we kind of looked at it. There were lots of reasons why not to do it, but kind of the little voice in our head kept telling us, that we should do it. I mean, why not? It's a commodity. 90% of startups fail. The bottled water industry is under attack. Branding is tough. But if we could make a difference, if we could make this work, we could really transform certain things. And it's an opportunity, as I get older personally, to kind of, as Kara said, move from some moderate business success to kind of life significance and making an impact, on others. One final note: people oftentimes want to know how they can help and how they can get involved. And the one way you can help is to buy a bottle of Nika. I spoke last year at a conference here at Harvard, and some of the students were so interested in it that they actually came up to me afterwards and said, "Look, we want to help you launch the product in Cambridge, in Boston." So over the summer they helped us do that, and now we're in 40 vending machines on campus, and we're in a whole bunch of merchants around town. So you can help us just by buying a bottle. Again, $20 brings clean water. That's the profit margin on 10 cases of water. But it's just not that much. It's a very solvable problem. The second thing is if you have a party or if you have something you want to do, we're happy to donate a few cases to your party to just have you. It's all about getting people to try it because the brand itself is very sticky. Once people try it, they understand it, they get it, they like it. But it's about creating that branding and creating kind of that grassroots acknowledgement of the brand. And then the third thing is if you're interested, we're always looking for campus reps and to kind of join our team and our movement. So it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to be involved in the social entrepreneurship workshop this afternoon, so I'd love to